Wow. Ok. Finalmente es el día, chicos. Bienvenidos. Welcome everybody. Este es un stream que habíamos estado preparando y hemos estado muy emocionados por tener nuevamente a Patty Mattson, la voz de Sylvanas, con nosotros. So, hello Patty, welcome.
Hey. Hola, hola, hola. I wish I was fluent in Spanish, you guys. I'm so sorry. Un poquitito español para mí. But hello everybody. I'm so excited to be here.
It's so good to have you around here. So today we will be talking both in English and Spanish. We will try to translate. I will try to translate in my best of my capabilities to do it. Así que chicos, sí, vamos a tratar de igual hablarlo en inglés y en español. Tenemos algunas preguntas preparadas para Patty. Vamos a estar con Beli aquí conversando. Y justamente vamos a conversar algunos temas sobre el libro, sobre todo lo que ha pasado con Sylvanas en estos años. Y la entrevista va a ser completamente en inglés y en español. Así que simplemente disculpen si ciertas cositas en inglés se me pasan por alto.
One of our followers, Alvarox, says like, "Oh my God, Sylvanas knows Spanish. I'm dying."
Tell him un poquito, poco.
Un poquito.
Un poquito español para mí. Now, I did start taking Spanish again recently.
Really?
A couple months ago, I went to Babylon and started to study it again because there was a time several years ago I actually was getting pretty good. But then I'm not speaking it enough in my life. And it just goes out the door because you have to speak Spanish every day. You have to be constantly interacting, especially if you haven't already established some, baseline Spanish, and it makes it so much harder.
Yeah, especially like if you can practice it like daily, or if you don't have someone to practice with, it's like it gets harder. I think that happens with almost every language, because that happened to
me in Japanese. So
yeah, that happened to me as well in Japanese, because I was starting to learn Japanese during the pandemic. I started taking lessons again. I had a teacher for about 2-3 months. I was getting a little bit better, but then she couldn't help me anymore. And there we go. I don't know Japanese again, so I have to retake it ever again.
It's so true. Like all the tests, I did the tests every day. You go to Babylon, you do all the little tests. I passed every one of them and only had a few mistakes. But the minute it came time to understand or translate that into something that you can have a conversation with, I thought, man, unless I really do nothing but just sort of immerse myself in Spanish, this isn't going to be doable, right?
Yeah. So Patty, what we are going to be doing a little bit today, because it's really, really fun to talk about like languages. It's a fantastic thing to talk about, honestly. It's, I think, one of the best things to know a little bit more about culture, a little bit more about other countries, especially. But let's get a little bit into the interview so the people can also start getting a little bit in here.
There's a lot of questions starting into our Discord. En nuestro Discord están comenzando a poner todas las preguntas, chicos. Tenemos ahí en el Discord de Briscolics. Acuérdense, en Entrevistas Silvanas pueden poner sus preguntas para Patty y trataremos de lo posible de pasárselas para que se las responda, ¿sí?
Exactamente. So yeah, first of all, primero que nada para todos los que también nos están escuchando, chicos, el día de hoy están totalmente desactivadas las notificaciones de sonido, que normalmente nosotros las tenemos. Tanto follows y demás no van a sonar el día de hoy porque esto luego va a quedar para que puedan escucharlo si es que se lo perdieron y quieren invitar a alguien más. So to everybody that is listening in English as well, we blocked all notifications. So usually we have like sound notifications for follows or donations and stuff like that. So we're not having that today. So you can actually check up later the BOD for this session. So let's get in context now. This is going to be fun. So, Patty, I have the first question here that has been on my mind over the past, 3-4 years that everything started, and ever since we met back in 2018, I think, or somewhere around that. So Sylvanas has led lately a dark path over the past few years, you know? A complete disaster in Teldrassil, a feeling of betrayal to the loyal horde, all towards serving this grand scheme and purpose. How it was for you, the path that led Sylvanas until the start of the Shadowlands storyline? En español igual, Sylvanas ha llevado ahorita un camino oscuro en los últimos años, un desastre completo en Teldrassil, sentimiento de traición hacia sus leales miembros de la Horda, y todo en pos de servir un gran plan y propósito, ¿no? Entonces queremos saber un poco cómo fue para ti el camino que llevó Sylvanas hasta el inicio de la historia de Shadowlands.
You know, before I answer that question, I want to say Christy Golden. ChristyGolden.com, at Christy Golden on Twitter. Christy Golden is the writer of the book Sylvanas, and that's spelled Christiegolden.com. She did such an incredible job with the book, and you get kind of a sense of how she made it to that place that you're talking about, David, that part. My answer to that question is, it's, you know, you just roll with what's given to you, if that makes sense. You know, you try to deliver whatever it is that the writers have created, and you do the best you can to bring that to life for her, and to, you know, get through that chapter of her struggle. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's completely understandable because it was wild the way Christy especially, you know, brings Sylvanas from what we had like as mysterious figure, a mysterious war leader, into kind of a complete chaos kind of storyline, and down to this grand scheme that it kept us very, very, you know, close to the screen to know what is going to happen next. Así que para darles un poquito el contexto de lo que nos dijo aquí Patty, realmente es muchísimo lo que ha tenido que hacer gracias a Christy Golden, que es la autora de los libros y de mucha parte de la historia de Shadowlands, y que justamente ha sido un trabajo magnífico que ha puesto Christy para traer justamente toda esta historia, y que ella le ha costado, pero realmente que ha sabido cubrir justamente con lo que Christy ha venido poniendo dentro de los libros.
Están los chicos ahí mandando los saludos. Everyone is saying hi to you.
Hello, hola. Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here. Gracias for coming. I was trying to think of the words for.
I love that one. Gracias for coming. That's amazing.
Yeah. Gracias for coming. How do you say that in Spanish? How do you say?
Gracias por venir.
Venir. Yeah, gracias por venir. And seeing me. And, you know, I really loved the work Christy did on the book, because it really gave you a bird's eye view, you know, like a peek into her life, the family, what led her to Shadowlands. And then, as we know, in the end, her judgment, and finally ending up, you know, paying for that by jumping into the maw with Dorother and going to, you know, fix it in whatever way, you know, as long as it takes, right?
Yes, exactly, exactly. That's one of the things. Como ahorita justamente Pari nos comenta, toda la historia que trajo Christie a través de Sylvanas y el camino que tuvo que darse, incluso hasta lo que creo que están viendo ahorita en pantalla, que es su juicio final en manos de Tirande, el asalto que da las fauces, lo que tiene que ir cumpliendo, es muy bien llevado a través del libro y te permite ver a través del libro como que una visión 360 sobre todo lo que es la vida de Sylvanas desde inicio a fin hasta lo que es el cierre con el final del libro. Saltó a las fauces con Dorothy, que es el ave de Tirande que podemos.
Yeah. Sot says, you can harvest my soul if you wish.
I can harvest your soul. I will harvest your soul. Well,
Oh.
actually, it's supposed to come down now and sort of I don't want to
redeem,
say
save it,
but yeah, to make up for. And it'll be interesting to see. You know, there's a lot of ways that could go. We don't know. You know, does she redeem these souls? Does she help them get to the light? Does she bring anyone like Greymane's son back and give no, but I mean, do you make up for it by giving the soul you find in the maw a chance to come back to their family or to at least have a conversation with them before you go off into the light? I mean, this is all speculation coming from me because I have no idea.
I know, right?
Yeah, I literally, that's the truth. I have no idea myself, but there's a lot of ways that can go. Or she could just be down there, you know, for as long as they keep her down there. While the new dragon clan forms and right.
True. It's like it's interesting, honestly. Mostly because it's not a redemption arc by itself, but it's more like a repentant kind of arc that they're doing to her.
Repentant. That's a better word. Repentant arc. But in that process, you're going down in to, you know, make up to every soul from the World Tree or whoever you wronged, who's in the maw. You're basically going to rescue them, but to where? I don't know that we know that yet. Right? Do you know what that means?
We don't know that yet.
Know what that means, right?
Yeah, that thing, I think that is still written on where exactly does she brings back those souls back to the Arbiter
or sends
somewhere.
them into the light, or
yeah,
it's like, how do you rescue, redeem, and or help them to the place of Bastion or wherever they're supposed to go, right?
Aquí un poquito también para resumir lo que conversamos, es interesante este hecho de lo que Sylvana se va a mantener dentro de las fauces, porque la manera en la que viene rescatando o que tiene que rescatar algunas de las almas, ni siquiera sabemos a cuáles almas va a rescatar, en algún punto tal vez hasta el mismo hijo de Greymane. Y de hecho no sabemos cuál es el destino de estas almas, porque dichas almas actualmente no está escrito realmente qué es lo que pasa con ellas. Es que las llevamos a la luz, si las llevamos al árbitro, o cuál es el destino final de estas almas. Y van a mantenerle... Yeah.
I'm catching little words in there that you're saying, like,
That's
okay,
a good... That's a great... Y la idea de que podrían irse hacia este lado, y a cuánto tiempo van a dejar ahí a Sylvanas en las fauces, no lo sabemos.
No sabemos aún.
You had a question as well, Belly, right?
Yes, I wanted to ask you. My mind was like, I have to ask her these, like, the moment they asked you to narrate the book, how did you feel? El momento en que te pidieron narrar el libro, ¿cómo te sentiste?
That's a great honor. It really is. I mean, again, Christie's work is incredible. And this book wouldn't be interesting at all without what she's written. So to be asked to bring something like that to life, at first, I suppose my first reaction was, wow, you want me to do it? And then felt momentarily daunted. You know, that word daunted. It's like, oh man. that's a lot to take on because I have some understanding of all the characters and players that go into that story for 15 years,
Years,
close to
yeah.
15 years. So I was excited to read it. Because I love Christie's work. I loved The Rise of Arthas. I've read other books of hers, and her work is just, I love it. So I knew we'd have something really magical to deal with. But it's also, you really, when you play a character like that and you love that character, you really want to do justice to it. And it has a lot of flavors, but your voice only does so much. So it's a thing, right? But first off the gate, an absolute honor to be asked to do something like that. And I just hope people, for the most part, really love it. It's a beautiful story.
By the way, you said that Christie asked that herself to you?
Well, yeah, I mean, most of the work we do, comes through agents, right? So your agent will send you an email and say, hey, do you want to do the narration of the book Sylvanas with, when it comes out for Audible? Audible.com, guys, that's where you get it. Audible.com.
Yep, Audible.com.
Yeah, Audible.com is where you get the audiobook. And when you go to Audible, they give you one free book. They give you a point or something, and you can use that towards a free book. So you could select Sylvanas as your first free book and then read it. And that way, if you feel like I'm not trying to lose business for Audible, but if you decide that you're not a person who listens to audiobooks, but you would like to hear this, you could always give it a shot with your with your entry points, and then decide. They give you the opportunity to decide if you want to continue a membership or not. But yes, the request came in through my agent, so I would imagine a conversation happened between Christie, and Taryn also worked on the book with her, members of Blizzard, about, hey, why not have the person that plays this character read this book? I mean, it might have potentially a bigger impact, but I'm sure that conversation was had long before I came into the picture of, hey, should we consider doing this? But yes, I wanted Christie to direct me. I was like, can't she come and direct? But that's not something that they do. And also on these books, I really wanted like Josh to do the interludes with me. Ideally, we'd have all the characters playing the characters, but the truth is there's limited time, and that would take eons and really a lot of money to get done. So you as the narrator need to do the best job you can to, cover the ground of all of those characters believably enough, and interestingly enough to continue to keep people drawn in.
Actually, and if you allow me a little bit here, un poquito de lo que nos cuenta también Patty fue que fue un tremendo honor el que le hayan invitado a ser la narradora del libro. Que por cierto, si es que ustedes quieren acceder al libro, pueden en audible.com ingresar a Audible. Tienen un punto como para poder descargar algún libro, el primer libro gratis. Y podrían ir a descargar el libro de Sylvanas si es que quieren aprovecharlo. Esto, por supuesto, también viene con parte de lo de Twitch y demás. Así que ustedes que tienen algún Amazon Prime podrían aprovecharlo bastante. Es bastante recomendado. Y que sí, o sea, realmente fue un honor. Fue una tarea gigantesca, algo realmente interesante. Que le hubiese incluso encantado a Patty haber sido dirigida. Le hubiera encantado haber sido dirigida por Christie. O tener al menos los interludios que existen con Anduin, con la voz de Anduin, con Josh, pero lastimosamente debido al tiempo y debido a las restricciones, los limitantes que tiene para hacer un audiolibro, no hubo cómo hacer eso, pero el trabajo que puso para la narración de todos los personajes es bastante notorio porque ella conoce de los personajes que han venido desenvolviéndose ya por más de 15 años.
Yeah, and mucho dinero para, más personas in the cast. So it would be, It makes
Yeah.
it difficult
Yeah.
to have, I mean, ideally, but think of all those characters. There's a lot of characters in there.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. It's
Oh, lady.
Vera,
That's
Larissa.
a daunting
This-
hookup.
yeah.
You're like, oh, okay.
it's been something funny, Patty, that I haven't had the chance to read the book because, well, I don't have the book at first, and I haven't had the chance to actually listen to Audible. But through Steffi, I have been like knowing every single detail, and it's so funny because the way that she narrates to me as well, and when she tells me like, "Oh, and Patty did this voice, and she did it in such an amazing way," it's like it fills me with passion as well. It's so funny.
Yeah, we can feel your passion when you're narrating all the book. So all the things that you do with all the characters, it's great. I mean, you did a good job.
Well, listen, thank you so much. And David, or Oralis, if you want to speak Spanish to them while I'm speaking, I can slow down and you can
Okay.
say what I'm saying if that makes it easier.
Oh no, don't worry. It's
Okay.
easier for like I think for people as well to listen the whole thing in English then, and I
then
can
get the
translate it. Yeah,
because they might pick up parts of it. Yeah.
yeah. It's easier for them as well.
But no, I mean, so many of the male characters fall in a similar sort of age range, like
Mhm.
kind of, and a similar kind of language, right? As far as whether they have a little bit of an accent in the Elven Silver Moon sort of proper English world, or whether they don't, if they lean a little English or they lean a little non-English, it's still sort of a proper thing. And so there's a large swatch of that. And I did want to try to make Lirith and Anduin almost lean into each other because of the story. I don't want to give up the story if somebody hasn't read it, but because Anduin reminds her of Lirith.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
wow.
wanted to touch.
I saw you
I wanted to
that
have a
today.
touchstone between Anduin and Lirith in the way they sounded, and to make a young boy is easy, but to age up that boy becomes more challenging because your voice has so much latitude, and then it's
Yeah,
so you're
exactly.
trying to lean into those things and make them different enough, but it's a challenge. It's certainly a challenge. Yeah, so thank you. I mean, I'm always gonna rip that apart, right? Like, well, I should have done blah blah. But when you narrate a book, you have to jump from thing to thing. You have a limited amount of time. It has to be done in that time. You get a little latitude. Like, okay, if we don't finish by Thursday, we can finish by Friday, but we have to be done by the end of Friday, right? So you've got maybe that extra day to do pickups or whatever. But you have to narrate it almost like a cold read, even if you read the book. Once you start narrating it, you'll have familiarity with the storyline, but you didn't memorize every chapter, right? So it is like kind of cold reading again. Some of it you can try to read, the day before. I did try to do some of that to help flow, but you are jumping from each thing right in the moment, and you have to be able to do that in the moment, right? It's like, oh wow,
Yeah.
it's a challenge, but I felt I want to say I got very emotional reading that. Like there were points in that book where that emotion you're hearing is literally real.
It's
Because
authentic.
I felt so choked up by Christie's story and her writing.
Right.
Like-
I was the same. Like I was in tears in some of the chapters. I was like, dude.
It's been a wild ride because
Well, it's also because you can we all can relate loss to our own lives.
I think especially
so-
after the pandemic, we can all relate a
and
little bit to
especially
that.
when she's seeing that loss up close, and we all know someone, something, even a pet, something dear to us, where we have held that little life and seen that joy of life and that joy of and that tragedy of loss. And so it's really an emotional arc. She did a beautiful job writing that.
Yeah, that's so true.
les cuento igual el trabajo que fue bastante fuerte dentro del audiolibro. La parte de la narración, sobre todo, ha sido un reto interesante para Patty. Desde el punto en el que muchos de los personajes, como han sido hombres, afortunadamente muchos de ellos caen como que dentro del mismo rango de edad y dentro de el mismo, podríamos decir, como que rango vocal. Dado que pueden ser, por ejemplo, los mismos, están hablando todos entre elfos o entre humanos y manejan como que un mismo tipo incluso de gesticulación para poder conversar, y eso le facilitó un poquito eso. Sin embargo, la parte fundamental de mantener esta línea de conversación y esta entonación para todos era la parte complicada, y no era como que podías ir de un día a otro y dejar pendiente una sesión. Ha sido un poco complicado a veces eso. Y sobre todo, algo que le fue bastante difícil, o que se le siente muchísimo en el libro, si es que ustedes lo escuchan, es la emoción que le pone a ciertas partes del libro, que cuando narra Sylvanas, cuando tiene esta interacción con Anduin, que para desmentir lo que muchos creo que también han dicho a veces por ahí, de que termina Anduin con Sylvanas, no, sino que más bien es esta relación que tiene Anduin con el hermano menor, el antiguo hermano menor de Sylvanas, Lirath, y esta relación familiar que tiene, que le siente muy similar a esto. Toda esa emoción que ustedes escuchan en el libro es bastante auténtica, porque a Patty le costó poner esas ciertas líneas de voz, dado que a veces se le da así un nudo en la garganta, poder decirla. I think I summed that very well there.
I better make it shorter. I was thinking this poor guy, because I can.
Oh, no, don't worry.
I can
I
ramble.
love it.
And I'm thinking, how's he remembering all that? Does he have a thing where it records what you just said so he can look at it? I mean, how is he even knowing that?
I think it's a kind of a special skill or something I have around in there.
Your language is so beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
So beautiful to listen to, and you're fast. This was another hard thing about it, right? People who are fluent, they're fast, and you're like, huh?
Yeah, I think it's something of Spanish.
Like nada, por tu mar, and for me, I'm like, uh-oh. And so, oh, okay, what?
Yeah, and it's been funny, it's a little bit of a side story, but when we started doing videos, I did a recap video for Kael'thas. He's in the book, and I love the fact that he was in the book. So when I was doing a summarized version of his whole story in 3 minutes, I was like pretty much rapping through the entire thing without even breathing. And the comments from the people, and actually from one of the old community managers that watched our video, was like, "Please breathe." It was like, hilarious.
Oh, that's fast. Yeah. Oh, hello. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh, there's Corso. He's here saying hi, Patty.
Hola.
For the horn.
Muy bien.
Then Lenidax says, Lady Mattson, I love you.
From my heart to yours. I just drew a little heart with my hands and...
Oh, that's
good.
Gracias.
But that's actually something that we were talking a little bit earlier about Lirath, especially since the book of Sylvanas, without giving up too much information, because I would love a lot of people that haven't read it yet to actually enjoy it as well.
I don't want to be a spoiler, right?
Oh, yeah.
People should be aware that there might be some spoilers in this conversation, and if they don't want to hear them, they might want to plug their ears.
Exactly. There will be minor spoilers. We don't want to fill up everything, because there are a lot of special parts from the book. But especially, as how it expands the backstory of Sylvanas, because that's something that I loved. And we thought that the book was going to be more lined up with the Shadowlands story and everything, but it reflects more on the past life, her decision, and ultimately her reason for joining forces with this body. And something that it caught my attention was especially the culture of the Rangers of Golflas, her family, about Lirath and everything up. How did you feel how they portrayed all the Golflas culture? How it was for you? How did you imagine it being up with the responsibility that she had, and especially the relationship with her brother?
Well, I found it quite interesting because, um, you know, it's essentially a story about family, but we have to remember that this is her story, right? So it's her view and her telling Anduin this stuff, right? That took her to where she was. Like this is why, and she wanted to give a greater understanding of motivation. And as far as, listen, anyone who plays Warcraft, I'm immediately, shuttled right back to Silvermoon. And I can always imagine if they decided to do a new skin of Silvermoon, how beautiful it would look.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
If they decided to update Silvermoon with a bunch of quests, it would be kind of fun to be able to have the Rangers be able to do quests to rebuild it, to heal the scar, to,
Right.
it would be really cool to have that option, right? But there's, so many new and cool things to choose from. But I'm certainly brought right back to Silvermoon, the colors, the imagery that is brought into the folded into the story is beautiful. And I loved that, her relationships were deep. I loved that she had I loved her relationship with Nathanos. And I loved how, I really loved that. And I loved how she was a troublemaker, and a bit of a spitfire. There are just so many elements that Christie pulled together that I just thought were so perfectly magical, from Verisa's stoic nature to her father's loving hand to her younger sister being the healer, and Alaria being that free spirit who wanted to go out into the world. All these things were especially that place down by the water where they went together, they're just really beautiful. It's just, I don't know, I loved it. And I thought it was interesting that she was put off by the grandiosity. She wants to be out in the nature and hunting and jumping tree to tree and having so the grandiosity of court and all the things that
She didn't like it.
nobles do. Yeah, I found it fascinating that she did not like this. Yeah.
I was telling David like everything that she did that in the court.
It's really
And he was like,
wasn't that great? That
Yeah.
was great. From the wound wood to the spilling of the wine, and oh my god.
Yeah.
You're just like, and I loved
And the
it.
rumor with Kelta. So like,
Really charming. Anyway, go
Yeah.
ahead, David, if you want to. That was a lot.
Yes, no, it's okay. I mean, like, hay muchas cosas justamente sobre Sylvanas en este punto. Desde cómo ha sido su relación con sus hermanas, con su hermano, que realmente nos cuenta mucho más acerca de todo lo que ha venido viviendo Sylvanas, los gustos que tiene ella, que realmente sus hermanas, Valeria, por ejemplo, es un espíritu mucho más libre, su hermana menor es más bien un espíritu de sanación, Lyrath, que de hecho también es algo muy diferente dentro de la familia, las costumbres que han tenido, las decisiones y la grandiosidad normalmente de las cortes, de los elfos y demás que tú tienes ahí dentro, que nunca fueron del estilo y del gusto de Sylvanas, sino que ella más buscaba el estar fuera, el estar en el bosque.
Claro.
Y verla que tuvo que responsabilizarse de ciertas cosas y que te va contando la historia, pero tal vez no desde el lado que ya nosotros conocíamos o que hemos visto, sino más bien desde el lado de ella, desde una perspectiva mucho más personal. Te permite ver al personaje de otra manera, realmente, y que eso fue realmente una parte súper importante, súper interesante de haber narrado también el libro.
What happened there? ¿Qué pasó ahí?
I think. Yeah, no puedes postear links, Lenny. Sorry.
Sí, lo siento.
Actually, There's something that it was on my mind, and this is just as I would like to know more as a part of your perspective, not
Mhm.
not just as what in the book says, but more of what do you think Sylvanas felt, because during Shadowlands we see Sylvanas mostly at Sobal's side in the mall. And it's a grim place. It's filled with screams. It's filled with pain, with all this sorrow. And if you were Sylvanas there, how do you think you would feel? Like, was there any drop of satisfaction what she did, or if it was only because she felt compelled to do so? La pregunta es si durante Shadowlands que vemos a Sylvanas todo el tiempo al lado de Sobal en las fauces, que es este lugar oscuro, llenos de gritos, de dolor. Si Patty fuese Sylvanas, ¿cómo cree que ella se hubiera sentido ahí? Si es que hubo a lo mejor un pequeñito ápice de satisfacción en lo que hacía, o si realmente era solo una obligación en hacerlo.
You know, I tried really hard not to judge, because what I, as a person, think or would do would be incredibly different in many ways than this character.
Mm-hmm.
There are pieces of you in a character, and pieces of that character in you. You are bringing your life, your experience to your performance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you inform that performance with your life experience and your ability to bring about that emotion and or thing that is needed and or written. I see my job as to deliver what is written without judgment, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's to continue to love her as a character and as part of me and me as part of her without judgment, because I really have to get into the headspace of that thing. What would that thing require? It's a dark space. It's an angry space. It's a vengeful space. It's a one vision space of revenge and pain, and so badly needing to see Arthas suffer for all for the horrible things he did. It would be like if somebody came and murdered your whole family. Your rage, it would know no boundaries as to. In all honesty, they would have to keep me away from someone. It would be very difficult not to land where she landed.
Mm-hmm.
And she just, it got out of control, right? And so it's hard for me to judge, or what do I think? Because I'm so immersed in wanting to deliver, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm really immersed in wanting to deliver what is in front of me, while I still love her enough to absorb every piece and try to give life to even the things that I myself might be like, oh, holy shit, or oh, that's so terrible, or whatever. It's not my job to judge it.
Mm-hmm.
It's my job to become it. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, it's amazing actually to embrace how she is.
You have to jump into that space, and without judgment, it is be that space, right? As much as you possibly can, so that folks who are writing this, the people imagining this, you do justice to what the gift they gave you, right?
Yeah.
As a writer, you write something and you have imaginings in your mind of how it's supposed to go, and then you hand it to someone. And you want them to bring that to life for you, right? So it's just such an honor to be able to be part of it for this length of time. Who would have thought? You never know. I'm going to let you translate that, and then I'll
oh yeah, don't worry.
You never know what part of your career and all the things you do and voice and characters, what's going to resonate, right? You just don't know. And it was always kind of like surprising to me that this was the character in a video game, right? That would resonate. That would resonate.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it
completely.
just does. it resonates with people, whether they hate her or whether they love her. But yeah.
Sí, resumiéndoles un poquito, es una pregunta importante debido a que realmente Patty no juzga o no le ve al personaje de esa manera porque mucho o muchas piecitas que son de Sylvanas le pertenecen a ella como persona y mucho de ella también va a Sylvanas. Y realmente el trabajo y la oportunidad que ha tenido Patty para interpretar a Sylvanas ha sido eso. El poder entregar a todos nosotros esa obra majestuosa de poder sentir la rabia, la venganza en el momento en el que tiene que ir a un lugar así de oscuro como todo lo que pasó con Arthas y Sylvanas. El ponerse en esa posición en la que si tu familia fuese asesinada completamente, ¿cómo estarías? ¿Cómo entregarías todo eso? Todo eso de ahí que luego resuene incluso con mucha comunidad, que muchos la amen por cómo es ella, que muchos la odien como es ella, que tenga toda esa reacción, le ha parecido incluso algo bastante fuerte, bastante llamativo, en el punto en el que no esperabas, o tú no esperas realmente que un personaje, sobre todo de videojuegos, resuene de esa manera con muchas personas en la comunidad. Y la manera en la que lo ha hecho, ella simplemente está agradecida por haber sido parte durante todos estos años de ser Sylvanas. I think I saw that the most I could.
I hope so.
Oh yeah, it's because it's a very powerful one.
I heard you end with the years that she was Sylvanas, right? The
Yeah.
años de Sylvanas. So I was like, okay, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's really important, and I think mostly expanding on the same question, it would be most of what has been the most difficult part for you, maybe to be part in this life of Sylvanas. You know, either what happened in Teldrassil, either what happened with her family, with her brother. What was maybe the hardest line that you had to record or to do?
Oh no, I mean, I sort of dive into each thing as it comes, right? Obviously this backstory with understanding in the book Lirith and all of that, that's very emotional. But we did a live improv with Andrea Toyes and myself when we were, and it'll come to me in a second, but when we were doing the burning of Teldrassil, and Sylvanas was speaking to that young elf, so beautifully played, right? And she says to her, "Can't I?" There was something really delicious about absorbing that moment, right? Because she completely believes that her calling is going to end in a higher good, right? So you're still even though she's, burn it. Even though she's doing that, you have to remember that the thing the tree was diseased or whatever, right? It had a curse. She is in full belief that the actions, that the ends are more important than the means. It's almost like a person who believes the deeds of the few outweigh the deeds of the many. So she really believed that in the end, everyone was going to find their way to some kind of better end, because this world was, doing everybody dirt, basically. That her pain was so encompassing that she believes this, right? So I don't know, I really enjoyed every single aspect of the challenge laid before me. And
Wow.
that's all I can say. I really enjoyed, like, okay, what does this challenge bring? And can we get this good enough that people are like, oh, holy shit? You know,
It gets
it,
chills, yeah.
that's right. Is it good enough? Do you mean it? What do you think? And so, as far as difficult, um, I mean, it's always a challenge to get into a certain aggressive mindset. And that day after we did the live improv with Andrea Torres around the burning of Teldrassil, um, it took me about a day to
Wow.
sort of shake
Oh,
that off,
wow.
to shake off the trauma of that interaction. Um, it just, yeah, it just was heavy and emotional. And I just had to sort of try to shake it off and get back into, life, unwind that adrenaline, that place, that dark space.
Wow, that's really something because
Yeah, the
when
gal
the
that
way you
played the
said
little
it,
elf. Yeah, the gal that played the little
wow.
elf, Erica. She played the other part. Did the read with me. She did a beautiful job.
I mean,
Wow.
it really shocked me right now because it's the way you said it and the way you can feel how difficult is that to actually believe in something and to fight for that belief, even if it's maybe something that you believe it's a great for greater good, but in the end it turns out as how it turned out, and it's really interesting that part of the story. But seeing it and the way you saw it, that's it just took me there for a second, and it was really strong.
The story.
And also, do you want to say that first before I get on to also?
Yes, please, 1 second. Sí, me emocioné ahí también, pero realmente la
No.
pregunta ¿qué fue la parte más difícil de haber hecho, o cuál fue la parte más complicada de Sylvanas? Y conversando un poco sobre esta parte de lo de Lirath, la relación en su familia y justamente lo que estamos viendo de la quema de Teldrassil, nos conversa que hubo una parte de improvisación entre la actriz de voz, Erika, que hace la voz de la elfa aquí, que está ya casi muerta junto a Teldrassil, y cuando dice que no puedo, ¿no? Que no puedo retar a la esperanza, que no puedo matar eso también. Fue un momento muy sabroso, pero también muy traumático, muy fuerte, tanto que a Patty incluso le tomó cerca de un día el sacudirse completamente de eso, de lo fuerte que fue esa escena de improvisación que habían hecho. Y el llevar a veces este tipo de sitios oscuros en los que usualmente tiene Sylvanas, y esa creencia, porque realmente era la creencia que ella estaba muy convencida de que el camino que ella estaba tomando era el correcto para poder librar a muchos otros del sufrimiento que ella, ese sufrimiento inconmensurable que tiene ella, que realmente no puede sanarlo de alguna manera, y no dejar que el resto caiga en eso. Si es que por eso tenía que pasar o tenían que hacer todo este tipo de cosas, pues ella estaba dispuesta a hacerlo en pro de que todo terminen bien, porque según ella, la convicción que tenía ella, Sylvanas, era que iban a ir a un buen final.
Right. Also, the next thing is the gal that played the elf in that scene, her name's Erica Lindbeck. She's a wonderful voice actress. She's got a lot of great credits. But we did an improv, and, Andrea gave us an improv. Like, you're in a bar, and the person who just killed your mother is sitting at the bar having a drink, right? And you walk in, and there, court trial maybe already happened or whatever, and here sits this person who ran down your family member sitting at the bar with a drink in their hand. What the fuck would you do, right? And before we did the improv live off of that, where you're just making up the emotion of that scene, I literally said to her before we started, I'm gonna say I'm sorry right now. because I
Wow.
knew I was about to jump into a space of anger and rage that was going to be, and it's a funny story. Andrea always tells it because I whacked a thing of Coke and it splattered across the wall in the studio. I just got so pissed off. I actually didn't know that there was Coke in there, but whatever. And so
Wow.
it became a bit of a thing. But so that headspace, there was another one, the death of Sarfang. I went to Blizzard and we did a 3-camera sort of record, and we did sort of a mock up of that pacing around him and the sword play, and then everybody in the room screaming at all the people in the room, the filmmakers, the Christie, the people who are there when she says, "You are all nothing." When she gets so pissed off that it's like when you stub your toe, right? And you're like, fuck. Well, she got sliced in the eye, remember?
Yeah.
And suddenly she's like, she turns, and for an instant, this feeling is unleashed. And so that was a pretty intense day as well. That whole, the process of that scene, I felt was quite intense. But yeah, I mean, you have to get into a space of total fury.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that fighting energy that, like, you're ready to, literally rip somebody's face off. And it's this controlled rage that is just, I don't know, it's a thing.
Yeah.
And so it's, yeah. But those are also really fun. I mean, it's really fun to be given the gift of that challenge, right? To be able to say, okay, holy shit, what's this challenge? And then the other one, there's one more. I'm gonna let you tell them that, and then I'll tell you the last one.
Gotcha. That's an amazing story, by the way.
Actually, I wanted to tell you that how was the challenge of doing that at BlizzCon?
Oh yeah, I want to hear about that one
Listen,
later.
and that, say the last thing, and then we'll go from
Yeah.
there.
Got it. Bueno, nos cuenta justamente de la parte de esta de la improvisación que tuvo. Y también un momento muy importante que fue en la lucha que tiene contra Sarfang, que ustedes recordarán cuando le termina hiriendo la parte del ojo, y la furia que tiene Sylvanas justamente en ese momento. En la improvisación que estuvieron haciendo, que fue justamente con varios de los actores en ese estado, la furia que tenía, y todo había tomado como que un vaso con Coca-Cola ahí y simplemente lo había lanzado y no sabía que ni siquiera estaba lleno. Y previo a esto justamente le había dicho a la actriz que discúlpame por lo que va a pasar, por lo que va a hacer, porque Patty tiene que meterse muchísimo dentro del papel, y toda esta furia, toda esta ira, que si bien es controlada, explota en ese momento. Tiene que explotarla en ese momento, y verla así es de miedo muchas veces, y es algo que sí ha contado en algunas ocasiones, e incluso con Andrea, que es la jefa justamente de la parte de voces de Blizzard Entertainment, y justamente pasó a esta escena, fue algo que se había dado. Y creo que más o menos ahí lo voy a resumir, porque fue un momento muy, muy, muy emotivo, lleno de furia, lleno de ira en esa parte de la pelea, y que tuvo que llevar esa emoción, expresar esa emoción, que realmente fue algo retador, pero algo delicioso también de poderlo hacer. Y nos va a contar justamente dos experiencias más que tuvo. La una, que es justamente, que preguntó ahorita Beli, de la...
En BlizzCon, que
la experiencia que tuvo en
justamente
BlizzCon.
hicieron la escena de Sarfan justamente en BlizzCon, fue la última, ¿no es cierto?
Sí, no estoy equivocado de eso.
En BlizzCon 2019 hicieron justo ahí, le estaba preguntando de cómo, si cada vez que hace una escena así es un reto grande, entonces, ¿qué tal fue este reto en BlizzCon? How was this challenge at BlizzCon?
You know, it's funny, I didn't know we were doing that live until I got there.
Really?
okay, I guess we're gonna do this live. So there was a moment of panic. Like, oh shit. I think we had, in any case, it's we were reading through the script, and I thought we were gonna do a reading, not necessarily a live enactment, right? Reenactment. But also backstage, Andrew Morgado, who played Sarfang so beautifully. He is such a wonderful human, an excellent, talented voice actor, just like Josh Keaton, who plays Anduin, who I love. I mean, Josh Keaton is such a lovely human. These guys are all so good and have so many credits, and it's just an honor to get to work with any of them, right? They're just wonderful. But in this case, Sarfang was the biggest piece of that. We tried to do weapons backstage, actual weapons.
Wow.
But it's really distracting because weapons need choreography so you don't hurt people, even if they're fake weapons, right? And in order to be believable, it's going to stilt your ability to pretend like you're slicing someone if you're encumbered by the idea of this thing, right? So we practiced and I was like, I just don't think we should use these. I was like, I'm going to be so freaked out about, oh shit, are you okay? Right? Did I hit you? I mean, I just need to get, as into it as I can with this level of reenactment. And that's, when so many people are used to seeing the animated characters in all their glory and, so there's a lot of in that, right? It makes you feel like, oh shit, how do you become that big? How do you become that, pull that together? So it's definitely like, oh shit. But it was a blast, really fun. I liked that they had it, and in all honesty, I thought the best part was when the boys carried his body. I was literally choking up. I thought that was so beautiful, the part where they pick him up. I could start crying right now. They played the music, and Steve Denuser and Josh Keaton and those guys, they all picked up Sarfang and walked him back, and they did the tink tink, tink tink. I mean, that was so good. I just was like, I'm tearing up just talking about it. So, I probably, because part of me really misses our ability to get together. That last BlizzCon was the last BlizzCon that I was at and that they've held. Well, they had one last year, but it was a virtual con. I was supposed to go. Yeah, I was supposed to go, and then I got worried about, we had a sudden surge of COVID in LA County that was really heavy, and I got worried about it. So I was sad. I was sorry I missed it. In all honesty, I was really mad I didn't go. But they did a great job, and Deborah was wonderful. I mean, so Josh was there, and they had, the guy from Revendreth. Yeah, I'm forgetting his name. The young man who plays he was. Yeah. His voice is so good, right? You look at him, and you cannot believe that that's his voice coming out of him that's playing. It's just, you're like, that's great. So I had a really fun time watching it, but I was sad, because you never know.
I can get it,
You never know when maybe you won't be going there anymore because stories change and the Dragon Maw thing is going to be awesome. And so BlizzCon's in the future. It doesn't mean you won't be there. It doesn't mean you will, though. You know what I mean? So each moment you have to really savor those moments because you don't know what is to come. And storylines won't always have you heavily involved. You may die like Sarfang did, right? So,
exactly.
I'm just lucky she's still in the Maw.
Honestly,
you can tell them that, and then I'll say this next thing.
Yeah, honestly, just adding up a little bit on that, Patty, before I translate it, but yeah, it's a thing and something that I think all of us have now as a message, as a live experience, that we can have anything as a granted, especially like if you go to a BlizzCon or something like that. I think especially that last BlizzCon, the 2019 one, it was something special. It was something special.
Really was.
We met you there.
Magical. You guys were so cute, and you're. I mean, everybody's cosplay, and I took those treats home. They were delicious. And, I mean, every part of that, Andrew and I stayed behind. I went outside after we did the signing at the table, and I went outside and spent several hours really just signing and taking pictures with people and trying to sort of be available, because I know a lot of people get in line and then sometimes they don't get up to the table. And that sucks for the people who want to do that part of it, because there's so many pieces of BlizzCon that are wonderful that certainly don't involve me. But at those moments where, folks do want to interact, it was really nice to be able to do that. And Andrew and I went out later in the evening and tried again to be available to people for pictures and signing something. And, it was really special. And it chokes me up because there's such a dedicated following and talented players. The guys who are doing the competition, the championship. Oh my God.
yeah.
And then you've got, Diablo and Overwatch and, Call of Duty. And you've got all these really great Blizzard games that go beyond Warcraft. So just participating in the actual, I went there for a couple days to be around the cosplay, to be around all of the things that don't involve me that I think are fabulous. I was asking cosplayers to take their picture with me. I was like, hi, oh my God, will you take your picture with me?
The moment you came to us, I was in Candyland.
That was so fun.
Actually, just let me translate what we talked, and I think Steffi can expand a little bit on what happened that day, because it was so special. But, okay, conversando un poco sobre la presentación que tuvieron en BlizzCon 2019, en la cual justamente volvieron a hacer la escena de Magora entre Saurfang y Sylvanas. Nos cuenta un poquito que incluso hubo la idea de que iban a hacerla con armas, con props, para poder justamente traer esto.
Cuando llegó ella no sabía que iban a hacer eso en vivo.
No sabían que iban a hacer esto en vivo, y fue algo muy gracioso. Sin embargo, decidieron no utilizar ninguno de estos props, ninguna de estas armas, porque es difícil entrar en el personaje, actuarlo, y todos estos momentos wow, estos momentos flash que tenemos dentro con los personajes animados, es muy difícil poderlos tener dentro realmente con props de batalla, sobre todo porque usualmente las peleas son un poco más organizadas, un poco más sincronizadas, coreografiadas. Tienen que ser más coreografiadas, y el hecho de que tienes eso te puede distraer, porque si es que le diste un golpe a alguien, vas a estar más preocupado porque si es que le hiciste realmente daño o no. Así que decidieron no utilizarlo. Pero que había sido un momento muy divertido, y que justamente esta parte de la BlizzCon, terminamos conversando, que hay estos momentos, ¿no?, dentro de BlizzCon en general, que creo que todos hemos aprendido ahora, gracias todo realmente por esto de pandemia y demás, de que estos momentos hay que realmente aprovecharlos, hay que disfrutarlos, porque no todo puedes tenerlo ya como garantizado. Y realmente la BlizzCon 2019 fue algo muy mágico. Nos conversaba de varios momentos en los que ella salía después de hacer las firmas y todo, y después de estar filmando todo el tiempo, de ir a ver cosplayers, de ella pedirles foto a cosplayers, porque le pareció tan fenomenal todo el mundo que existía ahí dentro de la BlizzCon, con Overwatch, con Diablo, que justamente se estaba anunciando en ese momento, con tantas cosas que pasaban, y era maravilloso realmente poder estar con tanto entusiasmo y tanta pasión que tenía la gente en ese momento. And now we can go with Steffi about the...
Okay, Steffi, go.
What me?
Elisandra, go.
I was saying that I remember when you came to us, when I was taking the pictures for my cosplay, and I was like, I just hear something, was like, what? It can't be. And I just saw you, I was like, no, my God, you're here.
So fun, right? It's just so fun. And to have so many people from so many parts of the world, it just chokes me up.
Yeah, actually, that
you guys
year
are across the world from me right now, communicating with people across the world, and that this thing brings us together. This it's just so special. It's kind of magical.
Yeah, we made a lot of friends from the US. We had friends from Russia. We have friends from France. We have We always come with our friends from Argentina, from Colombia.
Argentina. I used to live with some people from Argentina. But I mean, they have a mural of Sylvanas in Melbourne on the side of a building. And you
Really?
think,
That's
yes,
nice.
it's incredible. And you think, how does a thing, this universe they created, it brings people together from all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's really special.
It truly is. It truly is. I think.
Go ahead, go.
Oh yeah, no, it's just like adding up a little bit to it. It's because I think in part, actually a lot of that, it comes because of the writers that are in there. People like you, Patty, that actually put that kind of passion into the game, that kind of passion in the characters that you play, that actually make us even fall more in love of the universe that has been creating around it. The act that you put in part of it, all the heart that you put in it, because we really feel it when you can see Sylvanas rage, when you see Sylvanas actually get frustrated or get sad or feel that mourning that she, for some reason, when I saw her, and I've been looking a little bit on her backstory, a little bit more, especially with what Valley has been telling me, is that mourning that never came to pass because it was like felt unnatural for some reason to her. It didn't heal completely, and that's something so strong, and you can feel it. You can really feel it, and I think that's something that makes this universe and all of Warcraft very alive to all of us.
Yeah, and I think a story like that, people can relate to. People can relate to hardship, pain, and trying to overcome that imperfection. Another piece of this that was challenging was when the script came through for her, when Uther, so beautifully played by Michael McConaughey, I think he plays as Kel'Thuzad as well, right?
I think so.
And he's done Lich King Arthas, the Lich King part of Arthas as well. But Uther, the scene there where she's remembering being young again. When I read through that, I thought, well, you have to find a way to make her young again, but still not lose the her that we love. This is the Ranger General, the strength, the parts of her that that make her, but aren't quite so intense as the Sylvanas who would say, where a usurper sits on a frozen throne.
Oh my god.
This
The chills.
No, right?
Chill.
But no king rules forever. When, that Sylvanas and the one who wakes up and says, who are you? I had a bunch of people saying, that's not you playing young Sylvanas. And I was like, yeah, it is actually. That's funny. But I was really excited to see that response because that was, you're trying to bring her back to a time before she was tainted by so much anger and revenge. So, but still has the strength and the mind to be the person she becomes at her darkest hour, right? So, yeah, I found that to be an interesting challenge. To be able to have Taryn and Steve Denuser and Christy and the directors, be Andrea, and even I think J.B. Blanc was involved in pieces of that. Sometimes there's different folks involved in the direction process, but to, find that younger Sylvanas without losing, the strength of who she is or the recognition of voice. She still has to be her. So yeah, I thought that was a challenge, but a fun one, because now when I listen back, I'm like, wow, that worked, right?
It totally did. It totally did.
Keep in mind, we do a number of takes, and the people who make the final decision on that are those guys who are, Steve and Taryn and Christy and the designers and sound designers and people who are in that final piece of the puzzle. And so I won't even know what the final sounds like until you see it, I see it.
Wow.
So when it comes out, I'm seeing, what did they pick? What did they pick?
Which one of the records that we did?
That's right. Which of
Yeah.
these takes did they pick? And so a lot of it is them. You also, when you have great direction, and I've always been very, very fortunate to have excellent direction. You know, these guys, they give you a picture and an input and just stuff that makes things magical. So, you know, I think it's a group effort too.
Oh yeah.
That
Totally.
final product. It's
Definitely.
really everybody's little piece of the puzzle sort of interjected.
Órale. Algo que nos cuenta aquí Patty justamente es en este momento en el que Silvana se encuentra con su versión más joven, ¿no? Que es la... Es
El
esta...
último cinemático con Uther.
Exactamente, justamente con Uther. Y la parte importante de esto es de que es esta forestal, esta general, que todavía no está corrompida por todo lo que le ha pasado, pero sigue siendo ella. Mucha gente, de hecho, no creía que la voz que había hecho Patty para
esa cinemática era ella misma.
y es algo que, de hecho, mucha gente, yo recuerdo también muchísimo. Yo tampoco, cuando yo la escuché primero, también me estábamos preguntando si era la misma. That's something actually, Patty, that we were discussing with a few friends of mine when we heard that part of the younger Sylvanas. If it was the same voice actress, because it was like, sounds a little bit different, but you know, it sounds Sylvanas, just younger. It's wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, you have to find her innocence while not losing the piece. You know, when she comes out and she says, "Who are you?" Remember, she doesn't trust this either.
Yeah,
she's under, and you know, so it's a memory. But I just thought that was such a fun thing to you know, to try to latch onto. Let's find this. Let's find, you know, the younger, untainted Sylvanas, the one that would have love for Nathanos, and you get to hear a bit of that in the book.
Yes.
It's a little further dialed in, where she's, you know, her younger self, and even younger, and little Larissa, you know, she's the peacemaker. So it's a fun arc, and you hear that evolving into, you know, our Kantai person, right?
Yeah, totally. And something that it has been very special, I think, especially, at least to me, it's especially this encounter that she has with her younger self. And sometimes it's like you keep wondering, or you keep reflecting sometimes on yourself, like, what would it be if the younger version of myself would see me now? And I think it was like kind of that moment for Sylvanas, and seeing you play like so perfectly, and seeing how she felt, how she saw herself, and the atrocities that she did. And it was such a shocking moment that it was like, wow, it really felt powerful when I saw that scene.
Yeah, I thought they did a super job writing that and bringing that about. And of course, listen, I will say, I'm thrilled she's not dead, right? I really wanted her to have a redemption arc. I wanted us to have the ability to, what happens to her? You know, where is there a place she can go from there? I mean, some of that has to be, you know, has to do with just loving the character, loving playing her, and not wanting to see that end. But also, it's work. So for all of us who play something, you always want to keep working and working on things you love that are fun. And you get, you know, emotional about these characters you've played for a really long time. They become a kind of piece of you. Yeah, so that's always lovely, that there's some tiny window that has a crack in it for her.
A future.
Yeah, I couldn't help but be happy about that part, right?
Oh yeah.
To me, it's still open. There's a lot of stuff yet.
It leaves a door open to so much rich content. Even if it's just chaotic. What I mean by that is, you know, even if she only peeks her head into something, or she's there to assist or to be visited or whatever, But it also, like I said, it opens up the possibility of Greymane's son, or
Oh yeah,
does Sarfang come back? I mean, what?
Sisters.
It's just this endless, it's really an endless river of souls down there that are an opportunity to rethink, well, what does that mean? Yeah, so
exactly.
yeah.
One of the things that I want for her is that I hope she can visit Lilith sometime. Right?
It'll be interesting to see if that
Right.
happens, right? It'll be interesting to see what if anything she sees. It'll be interesting to see where they take things. I mean, because we've got this beautiful new expansion coming up with the Dragon Maw clan, and having that dragon race. I think all of us who play the game, I play the game, so are going to be really excited to like see what that's like.
Actually,
Right?
I don't know if you saw this, but in the next patch from the last patch from the Shadowlands, they're gonna put like an Easter egg from Lilith in the Windrunner
game.
Spire.
I did not.
Actually, you can touch the harp over there, and then there's a little vision of Lilith with his sisters
I'm gonna
over
start
there.
crying. I can't watch that. I mean, if I'm in game and I go do that, I'll start crying.
Oh, I bet.
But
I'm not kidding. I mean, I just think it's such a powerful storyline, man. It's if you've ever lost someone, it really hits that nerve, right?
Yeah, I think especially on that, like reflecting on latest events in the world, where everything went grim these past 2 years. Everybody lost someone or in one way or another, I think, and it has been either hard for in a different tone, in a different way for everybody, and actually seeing and talking about those kind of moments, it really breaks you sometimes. And it's important, I think, reflecting on Sylvanas herself, how important it is to heal that. So I think that
find a way and to find joy and hope, and to find the things for us in our life. I'm a one race, the human race person. I believe there is one race, the human race, period, full stop. And what separates us is culture, right? Cultural differences separate us, but we are all human beings. There's a human race. So I know we use the word race a lot, like what race? And this always puzzles me because I'm like, there's really only one race. It's the human race. You're talking about Homo sapiens, and we all have different cultures, geographic locations, cultures, food, family, religion, how we relate to our, what our cultural things are that we do, our music, our thing. But other than that, if you really sit down and talk to people, I'd say 90% of the time, no matter what political spectrum they're on, 90% of the time, if you don't involve sort of like the hierarchy of political crazy town, people agree on like 88% of things. Just about family, about life, love, wanting to work a good job, find a place they fit in, be able to get good health care or good, people just stability for their parents as they age, help if they've got a disability. All these things are things that everyone can relate to wanting. It's a human experience. So it pains me to see people drift apart over stuff that it seems to me the population really isn't that far apart about, unless it's these ultra extremes, right?
Agreed.
And when we're dealing with ultra extremes, which is really a small percentage overall, there's no place to even have a conversation, because it's an ultra extreme that like 90% of us are going to go, yeah, no, we're not doing that. We're not stealing someone's house. We're not going to, shoot them in the face. We're not doing that. Right? So you can't be a total crazy town loony. It's no. But in any case, look, it's a funny time, and I've tried to focus on more like positive messages and things, because we all need a place what makes the game is so nice is it's this escape. You
Yeah,
can fly on a dragon, and regardless of what kind of games you like, it's an escape into away from the news. You can
yeah.
chat with your friends. You can
Have a
do
good
these
time.
fun, puzzles and cool things together. Go on journeys and do these fun things together in this universe that takes you away for a minute, right? Like a great Disney movie or something, with all
Agreed.
its twists and turns and the evil queen and it really takes you somewhere active, and it exercises your mind. I actually think that seniors should have to get involved in a game like this. There's puzzles, there's hand-eye coordination, there's friendship. So if someone's alone or lonely and needs to connect, you literally, man, in the pandemic, this Discord gaming thing has been incredible.
Oh, it's been popping off for sure.
Well, no, it's just really great to have
help a
that
lot.
option if you can't get out
Yeah.
of your house.
I think this
Right?
connected us a lot. It helped us connect a lot, to be honest.
I mean, you want to have a balance, obviously. I mean,
Obviously.
you need a balance in life. You
Of
need to get
course.
outside. You need to not be sort of like only doing that. But it certainly is a piece of a puzzle that can be really enriching in many ways if used constructively, right? And not overdone. So yeah, it's like an ingredient in a soup that can really make it,
True.
awesome and tasty and helpful, and yeah.
It's
And
been
listen, you're
delicious.
talking to someone who never played a game before 2018. No, never played a single video game.
Oh, I remember. I remember that.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like maybe a bit of a baby in that world where it's very fascinating to me. But yes, obviously, you want to have your balance.
True. Actually, I will come back with you on that topic, but before we take too much of your time as well, we wanted to
I know
go.
we've been yapping. Well, we've got translation, so that takes our time. We're taking more time because we want to make sure that the folks listening can participate with us if there's a language barrier.
Oh yeah, no, don't worry. But just a little bit on what we wanted to do as well with you. We had a little few of questions from the people that follow us and from our community as well. That they had a few questions for you, so we have a few of them prepared and a few of them that will be on the live chat right now.
First,
Gotcha.
Mabeki says, Patty, I love you. And here's Lenny Duck saying that you have been so inspirational for me. I've been through many challenges in my life, and I know Sylvanas only has your voice, but I love her so much because she has given me the courage to carry on and fight for my place in this world.
Ah, that's so beautiful. Thank you for letting me be a part of that triumphant achievement for you, because life can be hard, but we have to be resilient. And wherever you find that piece of resilience, you must press on. You must, because you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. That's the beauty of life. You don't know. You cannot give up, because tomorrow could bring you something that would surprise you and change the whole picture. So thank you for picking me to be part of that journey that gives you strength and peace and resilience.
That's amazing. There was one question that a guy named Bravelight wanted to ask you. So lately, with the Sylvanas story, it's been a roller coaster from good interactions lately to a few. I don't know how to say it. Maybe for some people were a little bit of letdowns on some parts because they wanted to see a little bit more of development than now we see on the book. And the book is really explaining and detailed and all the great that you want for making really justice to Sylvanas there. But sometimes maybe in the game it was like they wanted a little bit more of that. So there have been a few of the bad comments from people around social network about Sylvanas herself. How do you deal with that?
Well, listen, you're always going to have people who like a thing and don't like a thing. If you proceed in life trying to please everyone, you're sure to fail. It's never happening. So you can only be true to your core, your purpose, what you find, you know, what you find you connect to. I am not offended by people who hate her, or people who wish that, you know, her story ended 2 things ago, or people have a right to have the feelings they have, and as long as we maintain some constructive dialogue with one another, you know, if it goes over the edge to, you know, this inconstructive stuff that no one's going to listen, if it becomes toxic, then you know, it makes you get concerned for the person who's feeling that way, right? So you want to make sure it doesn't get to sort of a toxic place. But I understand, but keep in mind, for everyone who plays, imagine a game has to have a lot of moving parts. And over the years, you know, game developers have, you know, let's say you have a storyline, but then once you enter the game and you go into, I don't know, wherever, Azeroth, you've got all these little side quests and side things that happen. And people love certain parts of that. And not all parts of that are necessarily developed. Either A, there's not enough time, or B, it doesn't resonate with enough people. Like, it's like you don't always hit a home run. Okay, so some storylines are really awesome and some fall flat, and some game development stuff goes really well and other stuff not so much. You know, it's, you learn as you go, and sometimes it's not a hit. Sometimes it's a fail. It's a fail. And you have to get up, brush yourself off, and say, how do we fix that? How do we find the best solution for that? So I completely understand certain people wanting to see development in areas they didn't, wanting to have less development in areas that it is. But at the end of the day, I love the passion. I love that people care enough to chime in, even if it's, I hate this. Developers do listen to what people say. It's just there's a lot of input. And so it's never really one person making a decision, right? And I don't like to see people attack game developers or attack Steve Denuser or call people start personally attacking them like they're horrible people because they didn't do this thing. You got to understand there is more involved in that than you can imagine. There is a lot of moving parts in decision-making stuff. And it's never just one person. And that one person is a human being with a life and family and their pets and their kids or their partners or whatever. And those are real people. And so this part of a job where you're trying to develop something with a team of people is a, you know, you're hoping that it's going to hit. But not everything hits. Look at all the shows on Netflix that get canceled.
Oh yeah, all the
I
time.
mean, I thought Captain Underpants was going to be a smash. 2 seasons in, bye now. What? I mean, you just don't know. It's hard to figure out. And sometimes you'll see a really good show that just goes off a cliff, and you're like, wow, well, what happened to that was really good. What are you going to do? I mean,
True.
you know, but look, I just feel like we need to stay productive. If we're going to have discussions about it, even negative ones, let's stay diplomatic. Let's not personally attack developers and people who are trying to put together something wonderful that isn't always a home run. Nobody's perfect. There's going to be stuff you love about a thing, and there's going to be stuff you hate about it. And that's just life.
True.
Right? People are doing the best they can, and yeah, it's not always a home run. And you're not going to agree, right? So
That's true.
you got a choice. You can find the stuff you dig, put in your diplomatic suggestions, because no one's listening to someone who gets toxic. All that does, if you get toxic and crazy, all that does is make people get concerned about you. And then they get afraid. Like, oh, okay, well, we better block that one. That's a little crazy. Right? So people get freaked out about that, right? Especially in today's day and age. We're like, are you okay? Oh my God.
Yeah.
So you've got to keep it diplomatic, and it's okay to say, hey, I really don't like this. I mean, it would be great to see Dark Rangers, or it would be great to see, I'm going to keep on asking for this, guys. We love X, Y, and Z. We'd love to see. And you might get disappointed. They might come back and say, we're not going to be able to invest in reskinning this area or building up this thing. You know, it's just, it might not happen. You know.
But don't feel disappointed about it. Like,
yeah, just try to find the stuff that you do like. And then be like, okay, I'm going to keep fighting for this thing. I might still keep saying, hey, I really want to see this. I'm somebody who's a fan of A, B, and C. I'm never giving up. But in the meantime, hey, great job on X. I did notice you did a super job on Y. People are working their asses off to try to make something great. And you know, it sucks when it doesn't work, right?
Agreed on
like,
that.
Nobody who's doing it is happy when they can't attend to every aspect. But there is a lot of moving parts in that thing.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff.
If you let me translate it very roughly of what it said, but yeah, I understand it because No, don't worry.
How do I say I'm sorry for my rambling on? How do you say rambling on in Spanish?
Oh, rambling on. That's a good question. I wouldn't know how exactly to translate that one.
Lo siento. ¿Cómo se dice rambling on?
If someone can find that one.
You're talking constantly. You're talking non-stop.
Hablando...
Habla
sin parar?
Habla sin parar.
Okay.
Yeah, but no, don't worry. It's a...
Lo siento, habla sin parar.
No, but don't worry. Don't worry. It's fine because it's I think we resonate with that message. And that's something that we have been saying to the people that follow us as well. It's good to have a good criticism, but respect. You know, it's good to have a good criticism because criticism helps you grow. And growing is usually a painful process sometimes, but you have to be respectful. It's not need to be that.
Don't personally attack.
Exactly.
It's like, I hate this or this or this. People have kids and they get really mad at their own kids and they say, my gosh, I hate this about my daughter's personality, but I love my daughter or whatever. You know, you're working on a thing. That's a terrible example.
No, but it makes sense. It makes sense.
You know, but to attack a game developer about a story idea and attack them personally and call them names and pieces of doo-doo and, you know, horrible people and you're such a dick. These things, I'm like, what?
Yeah,
this is a really
out of the line, Yeah,
it's so out of line. It's like, this person is a really good person. If you knew them and you were with them, you would never say that. You might still say, hey, I don't like what you did with that story, man. Can't you change it? I like XYZ. That's
But it's
cool.
different. But it's different to attack.
Respectfully,
But telling the guy he's a piece of shit is like, what?
Yeah, no, it's like you have to separate the...
Saying something like, all your work sucks. It's like, really? Have you reviewed all their work? Because probably not.
Yeah.
You have to separate the work from the author in that aspect.
Yes. And if it's a piece of work you don't like broadly brush stroke them into the toilet. Because they may have a lot of really great work, you just don't like this one. And if you've seen a bunch of their work and you don't like it, okay, well, maybe they're not your cup of tea. Right? So you're going to go find an author or a creator who is. But attacking them for not being your cup of tea is like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Especially in this realm, you know, where we're talking about this kind of stuff.
True. Ok, para ponerles en resumen, chicos, la pregunta justamente que había hecho Brave Life era de cómo ella lidia justamente o soporta los comentarios negativos que hacen las personas en redes sociales sobre el personaje de Sylvanas. Que ella realmente no le presta mucha atención porque está bien que la gente se enoje. Y es algo que también hemos venido diciéndoles acá. Está bien que la gente se enoje, que la gente no le guste cómo están llevando una historia, cómo están llevando un personaje. Que no les agrade completamente algo, está bien. Criticar sobre eso está bien. Pero no hay por qué realmente tomárselo personal contra los que están trabajando ahí.
De forma respetuosa. No hay sentido en atacar personalmente a developers o actores. No tiene sentido.
Es correcto. Y no es... la idea es, si algo no les gusta, está bien que no les guste, no todo tiene que ser de agrado para todos. Como hay un dicho que se dice acá que no se es monedita de oro para agradarle a todo el mundo, y es cierto. El hecho que tengamos eso ahora, que hay mucha gente que a veces comienza a atacar a developers y demás, es una situación muy tóxica que realmente se tiene que evitar. Si no te gusta el trabajo de alguien, específicamente de algo, está bien en criticar eso, en criticar ese trabajo, pero hay muchas otras cosas que seguramente hicieron bien.
De forma respetuosa, como siempre.
Exacto, y díganlo de forma respetuosa.
Respeto en esta vida.
Yeah, that's really the synthesis of it, but is you can but not everybody can like everything that you do, and that's okay. That's life.
It's okay. What am I gonna do? Right? I mean, okay. That's all I can say is okay, no worries. It's not your cup of tea. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. We gotta
Okay.
find something for you that resonates and feels good to you, right?
Exactly.
Oh, look, we have over here one of our followers that has the name of Lich King. He says, can she tell me that I'm garbage? Okay, no.
Can I tell you,
To the Lich King.
to the no king rules forever. Begone then, office, Menethil. May the last whisper of your name fade and be forgotten.
Oh, that's nice.
I really love that part.
He asks, he wants to know that how you feel to know that your voice is now like a great legend of the pop culture in video games.
I feel blessed. I feel like the luckiest person. That's all I can say is thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean, the word honored continues to come to mind, but I am really honored to be part of such an epic character's story arc and to be the person they picked to do it. There's so much wonderful talent, and all I can say is thank you so much. Mwah. I'm blessed.
Oh, look, greetings from Germany. Asharis.
Germany. How do we
Yeah.
say hello in German? Specken. Oh, no.
It would be, well, if it's Guten Morgen, maybe?
No,
Guten
that's-
Morgen?
No, that's good night, right?
Good morning.
Good morning, yeah, good morning. I think it's the morning already in there.
It's morning. Guten Morgen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Avuna says, on my case, I don't like at all Sylvanas in Shadowlands, but I really, really love you, Patty.
Oh, thank you so much. And it's
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
It's totally okay. We're gonna unite, right? As we see this, it looks like they sort of united at the end, which was a really cool thing. And it'll be interesting to see what they do with Josh, with Anduin. Where's he going?
Mhm.
You know, what's happening with Jaina, Laura Bailey?
Mhm.
You know, it'll be interesting to see what happens as we move forward. And, you know, a good story always has a story arc for a character. And this
Mhm.
one's been interesting, but entered some really dark spaces.
Mhm.
And it's kept us, you know, interested, even if we didn't like it. We're like, okay, so what's happening with this person? Right?
Mhm.
It kept us having an opinion. One way or the other, it's okay.
Georgus says, first of all, I love how you bring Sylvanas to life and your way of expressing yourself. Well, I wanted to know what you felt when they told you that Sylvanas was going to stay in the mall forever.
Okay, they didn't tell me that.
Oh no!
Aw,
You
there
know,
you go.
We don't
listen,
think-
no one
at least
said
I don't.
that. Sylvanas was sent to the maw to do a job we assume
Oh,
will take
yeah.
forever. Okay. But
But
all I know is she's not dead.
and that's good enough.
I'm happy with
yeah,
that.
her staying alive, and that's good for me.
I mean, yeah, it's a long task that maybe will take her years of yeah, a lot of
Yeah.
time. It's a big
We shall
quest.
see.
It's a very
Yeah,
big quest.
We shall see.
Yeah.
We shall see.
I mean, we
Each
don't
of the
know.
souls of the cauldron, I mean, it's too much.
Mm.
But that's a thing there. There was another question running here. Let me see.
Maybe we reached the end.
I think
Maybe we
we're
jumped
reaching
in the
the end.
maw. No.
Oh, maybe we should. we
Everyone
can
is
jump
saying
out
the
together.
same. Don't worry, we will help Sylvanas with that.
With her mod
Come
dailies.
visit me.
All
All of you, come visit me in the mall.
It would be delightful.
Oh, Asari, I just told her about the Easter egg of the
Yeah.
the Lyra, the Easter egg. Yeah, I told her.
I think we pretty much covered a lot of the topics that we wanted to talk with you, Patty. And it has been delightful. It has been really delightful. People, I think, get the idea of like what is to come in with Sylvanas, and we don't know. That's really the thing. We don't know, but
Nobody knows. Yeah.
nobody knows it yet. And
But every story has to change, or we'd all be bored out of our heads.
yeah, I think
So we definitely have to see an ebb and flow, especially when you're dealing with a game. It has to stay relevant and interesting, and throw people into a new challenge and fun new stuff to do, right? So it's to be expected. I'm shocked that this storyline it has lasted. I mean, it's just, really been a blessing to be part of a storyline, even as an ancillary character that is sort of in the background when Anduin's father was alive, right? To even be part of that sort of lingering stuff and have your name be part of that story for so long is really a gift. And we have to see where the ride takes us. We
true.
have to see if it takes us, there'll be new, interesting, fun stuff for us to do, especially in game, and it's going to be really cool and interesting. And we just don't know.
I think it is fair to say there that to begin something new, we first must see the end, and that's where the point that we reach right now. It's a temporary end, but maybe we will see something where all the characters play part in one way or another, and it would be delightful to see Sylvanas come back in.
Well, it just leaves a ton of storyline possibility open.
Oh yeah, and that's delightful. That's a delightful part.
There are a ton of great characters that are potentially in the maw.
Yeah.
So this, for game content and for storyline content, this leaves a lot of open doors.
True.
Like, what does that mean? Who knows? It could go, it could just drift off into a new. You got to see how the new. It's just like any show. You don't know what's going to resonate, and so it's good to have these options.
Oh, I actually have like the two last ones for closing the night, Patty.
Okay.
So Brave like asked us as well. If you have been in the same studio, for example, as Chris Mattson, or which other character, which other actor have you been in voice acting, like working together in the same space, and how did it feel to share that space?
Well, there's been a number, and in all honesty, I don't know that I'm remembering everyone, but in Blizzard, the live record for Sarfang, there was a lot of people there.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked with Josh, I've worked with Andrew, I've worked with Erica Lindbeck, I've worked with a number of other people, but then not in the same room, because a lot of the recent stuff during COVID, we're not doing in the same room. And even back before kind of her Hided storyline, a lot of those sessions you do alone. So you don't necessarily work with the other people. You're in a session on your own much of the time. And how do I feel about the times I have been with people? It's wonderful. It's always wonderful to work with great people. It inspires you. It kind of spurns you on. Um, People bring a certain energy out of each other.
True.
But when it's a specific character, you're always sort of dialed into who they are. It's not like what you would do, it's what they would do, right? So there's that too, kind of coloring your responses. It's going to be colored by the character's, perception.
There's true that. Oh, and the final question, that's something that it was on my mind actually. That's a question from me.
Okay.
So I remember last time when you were in our show, we were talking about the Lament of the Highborn, the your version, that you actually did it. And how was it? I wanted to know a little bit more about it.
Well, it was really fun because I had this kind of in my head that my version, I really wanted to do one where she was like treason, war. And then we did the original bits of it, and then suddenly she just broke away and said, "For the heart," and it just went into this war drums, where it really just went into that space, right? I needed to hear that done. Like, I needed to have my vision come to life. And so my friend Mark helped me to get that done. And that was a blast. I mean, really, really good. I'm glad to have that piece out there because it's different. And it certainly doesn't take anything away from the absolutely beautiful job done by the gal who sang the original.
Yeah, it was delightful. I actually saw that you had another work with Jay on Lament of the Highborn that was kind of a different version that was out there.
Oh yes, and then yes, I did the kind of an acoustic.
Yeah.
Jay had asked me to do a bit of an acoustic thing with him, and yes, I did that with him too. I forgot about that. He did a beautiful job on that. Yeah.
Yeah, those are like the two versions that if people haven't listened to those ones, I highly suggest you do. They're out there on Spotify or on YouTube. You can actually go and search for Patty Mattson on Spotify. It's an amazing piece of work with Lament of the Highborn.
If you put in Lament of the Highborn 2019, then that piece that I did will come up. And then if you put in Jay's name, I think his piece will come up. Jay the Bard.
Yeah, Jay the Bard. He's an amazing person. He's really amazing.
Oh, he's lovely. And so you just if you put Jay the Bard, Patty Mattson, it might come up right away because the system will look for things where the people are associated, and you can see different pieces of that. So yeah, I mean that was really fun to do.
It sounds like it was really fun, and we personally know about Jay when we met him at the Blizzard campus. Like a few years ago, and he actually did a small musical piece in there, and it was like, wow, this guy is amazing.
Yeah, he's talented,
super sweet,
lovely, yeah, and really transparent. I think he shares some of his struggles, and I think that helps people sometimes to know that it's okay to talk about things if you're having anxiety or you're feeling a little depressed, or reach out, speak to someone. It's okay. You're not crazy. You're not, and even if you felt like you were, you still want to talk to someone because there's so many tools we have at our disposal today to help us. Do not give up. Reach out.
That's really important. And that actually I need to say it in Spanish, but chicos, y es algo súper importante realmente dentro de muchas de las cosas que hemos venido conversando, porque hubieron un par de versiones de la canción de Lament of the Highborn. Ustedes ya conocen la que es la versión del juego, pero hay dos versiones también muy bonitas. La una es una versión hecha por Patty Mattson en el 2019, que si bien tiene la misma lírica, la manera en la que se presenta, la entonación, la música en sí, es la visión que tenía Patty, y se llegó a tenerla finalmente acabada hace un par de años, y es muy bonita. Les recomendamos buscarla en Spotify. Y de igual manera hay un trabajo que ella también hizo con Jay the Bard, el que fue el ganador de la BlizzCon 2018, si no me equivoco, y me corriges, Beli. Sí, 2018. Y esta maravillosa persona justo tienen una versión acústica de Lament of the Highborn que también les recomendamos escuchar en Spotify o pueden buscarla también en YouTube. Y justamente conversábamos un poquito acerca de Jay, que Jay es una persona súper transparente y que te permite o te ayuda incluso a decirle que si es que tú estás atravesando un momento difícil de depresión, de ansiedad, pues no es bueno quedarse callado, y eso sí creo que es algo, un mensaje muy importante. Háblenlo, busquen a la gente, porque es importante conversar.
And Kirby Eden Love says, we haven't heard some voice lines yet that are written, but I don't think you have ever recorded. That it says like, not a Banshee Queen, nor a Ranger General, but always a Windrunner.
That's right. Not a Banshee Queen, nor a Ranger General, but always a Windrunner.
Oh, that's nice. And the other one says, I found you once. I will find you again, my love.
I found you once. I will find you again, my love.
Leave it and ship it. Those were delicious. Very delicious to listen, Patty.
Listen, thank you so much, you guys, for having me. All the people who listen to this today, tomorrow, at any time, I am, honored. I know I use that word a lot, but it's the truth. To be welcomed into your living rooms, into your offices, into your spaces where you enjoy life. Thank you for taking the time to love this universe, to listen to and support my work, to have opinions about it, even strong ones that are negative. Thank you for being part of this Horde Alliance, united, one race, the human race, and I am honored to be here.
Thank you, Patty. And I think with that we will be closing this night, and it has been really, really special for us to have you again in here.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for everything. You're always being awesome.
Muy finito, everyone. Muchas gracias. I'll see you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Muchas gracias a todos los que también estuvieron escuchándonos de aquí, muchachos. Esperamos que les hayan disfrutado esta entrevista, un tiempito muy especial con Patty Mattson, la voz de Sylvanas, que nos ha compartido algunas líneas, nos ha compartido también mucha de su experiencia que ha tenido dándole vida a Sylvanas.
Thanks, guys.
Beli, ¿algunas palabras para cerrar?
Patty, for real, thank you for everything. Your work is amazing. I always have been telling you, you're a very good actress, and for real, keep doing it, girl.
I will. Hey, from your mouth to God's ears, I hope to continue to do it.
No, you do it, but you always do it amazingly. So, whoa.
That's
rooting for you forever.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much, guys, for having me.
Okay, so with that, we're saying good night to Azeroth, good night to all the people around the globe as well, and I hope you have a very, very good night, very good day. I don't know if you're watching us from Europe or other parts in the world, so I really hope you have a wonderful start of this week, and we'll see you in the next time here in Blizzotics. Bye-bye. Adios.
Adios.
しい